This interview is part of the History Heard project. The content of this interview may be used for historical research. However, no part of the video itself may be reproduced without the express written permission of an authorized representative of History Heard. Today is June 25th, 2009 at, what time is it, 1?
This is in Reston, Virginia.
This is an interview with Vint Cerf in Reston, Virginia. He was born on June 23rd, 1943 in New Haven. Former Vice President Al Gore is very often misquoted as saying that he invented the internet, but he didn't say that.
No, he didn't actually say that at all. He was being interviewed, and the context of the interview was his work first as senator and later as vice president. But I think the context was his legislative work. And he said that he took during his legislative period, he took the initiative in creating the internet. Mm-hmm. What he was referring to is the internet that we know today. His initiatives did several things. He helped to fund the National Research and Education Network, which was the rapid expansion of the internet in the NSFNet context. And later, after he was vice president, he helped to pass legislation, I think in 1992. This might have been the Boucher Act, if I'm remembering right. But what it did was codify the permission to carry commercial traffic over the backbone. Mm. That was 92. I had gotten permission, but it was on a year-by-year basis in 1988. But this codified this practice, and that simply cemented into the legislative landscape that it was all right to allow commercial and non-commercial traffic to commingle in the government-sponsored portion of the backbone. And that was a very foresighted decision, because that's 92. 3 years later, we don't need the NSFNet backbone anymore. So it was a very thoughtful choice. By good fortune, my wife and I, Sigrid, had dinner with Vice President Gore just last week in Nashville. Mm-hmm. And he is possibly one of the most thoughtful and well-informed elected officials that I've ever met. And he clearly informed himself on this subject. Bob Kahn, if he didn't mention it, was testified at a hearing that was held by then Senator Gore around, I think, the fall of 1986. And the subject had to do with supercomputers and technology and networking. And somewhere at the end of this interaction, Bob introduced the term information infrastructure into the vocabulary at that hearing. And then Senator Gore said, do you think it would be useful to connect the supercomputers that NSF is building or funding together over an optical fiber network? Well, that particular question, this was one of those, we'll get back to you, Senator. Yeah. And Gordon Bell, who at that point was the head of the Computing and Information Systems Engineering Group of NSF, convened a meeting in San Diego in February of 1987. And I think there must have been 150 engineers and scientists at this meeting to talk about how to respond to Senator Gore's question. And what came out of that was this National Research and Education Network report, which proposed a 3-level initiative, starting with a 1.5 megabit system, moving up to 45 and then 155 over a period of like 4 years or something. And it actually turned out that the rate at which the bandwidth increased was faster than that. But that's what Senator Gore triggered in those early questions, 1986, which is now 23 years ago. Yeah. Way before any of his other colleagues, I think, recognized the potential in this technology, the senator did.